Jimmy Ward's jig. A simple little tune in G, covering only one octave, and it's one of those tunes with a gapped scale. Doesn't really have any F sharps in it, and I would advise you to steer clear of them, because you'll hear a lot of people playing them. But to me that takes some of the charm out of the tune, so I like just to steer clear. And you'll find that because, especially in the first part, the tune just does repeat that long G many times, that if you don't vary your treatment of it, the tune will quickly get boring for you and for the listener as well. So you need to do little strategies to vary how you play that G. And I managed to do that without resorting to that particular one. Different things I do are play just a long G, or there's 4 Gs there. Dip down to the D instead of the F sharp. You can play an A. That's a phrase that recurs many times as well, so if you want to vary your playing of that, a few grace notes are nice. Or you can miss out the B. You can invert that. Different ways you can play it. Right, so the first part is very simple. The second part leads on very logically. A couple of things here. The way I play the tune, I don't come to a stop on D in the middle of the second part, which probably more players do than don't. Pipers particularly, probably because they like to do a nice ornament called a cran on the bottom D, so they will tend to play starting the beginning of the second part. Which is fine, and I think you should learn that way to play it, even if you play it my way, which is slightly different. Learn to play it that way so that you can fit in with other people in the session. If you want to play it the way I play it, I tend to try and keep the melody going a bit. To keep the flow going and avoid coming to rest on the bottom D, which you're going to do at the end of the phrase anyway. So up to you. The other thing to be aware of in this tune is that you have a very common figure that crops up in no end of Irish tunes, and it is a descending figure of D, C natural, A. And this is a little awkward on the C sharp beatbox because you've got a push, pull, push, and it very often goes down after that. So you need to keep the hand moving or the fingers moving. If you're very lazy, you can do that. But I don't really recommend it. even if that's the way I instinctively started playing, because I think when you have to play this tune at speed, that will let you down. So probably a safer way of doing it is 3, 2, 1. And then be prepared to shift from that one downwards. So that is probably the recommended fingering. It's as well to master it because there are so many great tunes that include that phrase. In extreme examples, you could cross over. That sort of accomplishes the figure and a downward shift at the same time. 3, 1, and then you can cross over either with your middle finger or even with the ring finger. Things to be aware of, but for now I would stick to 3, 2, 1 in this tune. Another thing is, you might have noticed when I played the tune that if you want to play a chord at the end of the phrases, a D chord works very nicely. Gives you a nice modal open feeling to finish the tune, rather than the G chord as you might expect. And this is very fortunate because on our C-sharp jukebox we don't have a note that would harmonize with the G chord on the push, but we do have an A, so we can play that for a lovely ringing finish to the tune. And there we are, Jimmy Ward's jig. As far as the basses are concerned, you're probably out of luck unless you have a 12 bass box, because you really need a C major chord for this tune, and that is the great drawback of the 8 bass C-sharp D box, no C major. And you really need it. Where are we here? It's very satisfying to play basses on it, but if you don't have a C, don't even bother. Jimmy Ward's jig. Jimmy Ward, by the way, was a piper, and I think he was a visitor to the Ennis household, if I'm not mistaken.